Hi everyone, my name is Punya. I'm going to be your instructor for this class. Now, usually in my last 3 semesters that I've been teaching this class, I never had to do this online. So I'm going to be a little or very awkward to do this, but well, here we go. So a big welcome to my course, which is SCMS 3711. And ideally, the first class is the agenda is to know your class, to go to the syllabus, and then we do a brief introduction of business analytics. Now, given the modality, I'm going to skip the first 2 agendas and we'll pick up on it next time we meet. And I'm just going to talk about a brief introduction to business analytics. And I hope it's going to be a very short video. But just so that we are going to be on schedule to finish the class. All right. So introduction to business analytics. And I hope you have heard about business analytics, the term business analytics before. But if you haven't, business analytics is basically turning data into some insightful, meaningful, and helpful knowledge about business, right? So in business, in today's world, you have lots and lots of data, and this data might look very different for different companies or for different projects, right? So this data could be like thousands of Excel sheets. This data could be just one paragraph. This data could be just one picture. And in this class, yes, we will see all kinds of data, right? So we will see long Excel sheets. We will see a paragraph. We will see pictures. But at the end, the goal would be to make some helpful recommendations to business, right? So how can we use this data to make helpful decisions for the business? That would be the end goal. Now, when you have data, and in this class again, when you will get data, you will see that some data will be good data, and some data will be, you will not need to use it to answer the questions that I'm asking you, right? So in reality, that's exactly what's going to happen. In reality, you have lots and lots of data, and like maybe 90% of your time in reality would be to just turn the data into what is called the good data, right? So understanding what is good data and what is unnecessary data would be also part of this class a little bit, not too much detail, but yes, I will talk about it from time to time in this class. So with that, let's move on to some of the examples, right? So how would we use, or what kind of questions we would answer by business analytics tools that we learn in this class? So here's an example. For example, for instance, take a credit card company. Let's say Wells Fargo. I just got like a invitation for a credit card for Wells Fargo, right? So I'm just going to take that example. Now, when they send out these invitations, the question to ask is, are they sending out to everyone? Probably not, right? Probably yes, but that's probably not a very smart business decision because they're spending resources to send out these cards, right? Or these invitations. So what they basically look at, and they have a rigorous marketing team to look at these things. So what they look at is based on demographic data or whatever data is available, who might subscribe to a credit card offer, right? So for example, they might have data on your age, on the kind of job you do, on your marital status, on your education, whether there was a credit card default or not before, and your current total credit card balance. Now, of course, this last two will not be available to everyone, but maybe if you already have a Citibank account, right? And then Citibank is trying to send you another credit card offer. So they have these last two columns of data as well. So based on all this data, they would be able to predict, right, with some kind of certainty that you are going to subscribe or not to a credit card, right? And based on that knowledge, then they would use their resources targeted to you, right? Not someone who might not subscribe to a credit card offer. And this is one of the things you would be able to answer. You would know how to answer these questions once we finish this class. Let's take another example. Now, take this example of a tech company. Let's say Facebook, right? And in companies, employee turnover or limiting employee turnovers has been a big issue because it's very expensive for companies if someone if their employee quit. So HR people, they take a look at, or this section of analytics is called HR analytics. So they would take a look at people's profiles who have left the job, right, and try to figure out what might have caused them to leave the job, right? So is it the job role? Is it the marital status? Is it the gender? Is it their age? So what has the most correlation with leaving job? So it could be that a certain job role, people from a certain job role are leaving more than others. That means that HR should probably, create some kind of events that can help the job role make the job role better, right? Maybe it's the marital status, and maybe that's because of the location the company is situated. People with children don't want to live there. Maybe it's a gender. Maybe the environment they have created is not good for working for males or females or any particular gender. So based on this data, they have more insights on who is leaving the job and what does the HR need to do. For example, introducing new training programs or making the place better, making it more diverse or inclusive. What should they do in terms of limiting this employee turnovers? Here is another example. For example, let's say there is a regional bank and they are trying to decide whether they're going to offer loans to an existing customer or not. So they have all this data, and based on that, they can kind of predict whether this person is going to default on their loan or not. Right? So if they predict that there's a very high probability that they will default on their loan, then they might not offer the loan. Right? So this is just one of countless examples, or sorry, not one, but three of countless examples of how business analytics is used in everyday life. Now, here's a quick note about the terminology, and this I put this slide because when you go to the job market, maybe you like my class and you want to get a job in business analytics, but maybe the job posting says decision sciences, and you think it's not the job for you. So just so you know, this all terminology, business analytics, business intelligence, decision sciences, data science, all these have the same fundamental goal, which is storing data into useful insights, meaning that these all terminologies, the essence is the same. And once you learn business analytics, you're basically also learning decision sciences or data sciences and things like that. So you can apply to all these positions. That's basically why I put this note. All right. So now, for the rest of the time, I'm going to talk about three different kinds of analytics tools. And two of those we will use or we will learn, those tools we will learn in this class. And one of them I'm not going to use a lot, but still you should have an idea of when you have a question, what kind of analytics tool you should be using. So in general, there are three types of analytics, business analytics tools. The first one is descriptive. As the name suggests, it means that this analytics tools helps you answer the question of what happened, right? So basically summarizing the past data in meaningful way, right? Now in this course, we are not going to focus on descriptive analytics because that's what you learn in 2710, the course that you take before this, the business statistics course. So that would be basically based on data. If someone asks you, give me a pivot table, right? Give me a pivot chart. Or for example, give me histogram of certain things. Or give me like what is the mean or what is the mode of the data. So basically you have the data and you're just describing the data, right? And those tools are going to be descriptive analytics tools. In contrast, predictive analytic tools will help you basically predict the future, right? So as the name suggests, predictive analytics means that based on what you have seen in the past, right, you are going to be able to predict the future and you will answer the question, what might happen? So predictive analytic tools have huge importance in today's industry because everyone is trying to predict what's going to happen, right? Because based on this prediction, they will then take necessary steps, which is called prescriptive analytics. So in this class, we are going to focus on predictive and prescriptive analytics. So predictive analytics tells you what might happen, and prescriptive analytics tells you what we should do given that we know what might happen. So you see, that's going to be another step up. So here is an example of different kind of analytics. Let's say we are just looking at a product at a particular company. And if your manager is asking questions like, what were your sales last quarter, let's say. So the way you would answer this question would be to use any descriptive analytic tools, right? Because you might show them a chart or you might just give them a number, right? So that is what has happened in the past and you're just describing the past. Same for if your manager asks you, what was your market share, right? So there, you already know the answer, right? So that answer exists in the past data, and that's why it's called descriptive analytic tools, right? So you would be using, again, some descriptive analytic tools to answer this question. What product was most popular? So maybe you have to look at all the products and look at which product has the highest market share. And that, again, it's based on just past data. You are describing past data answering these questions. And that's why this is descriptive analytic tools, or you would be using descriptive analytic tools to answer these questions. All right. So now let's say your manager asks you, okay, so based on this, how many of years sales data you have, what do you think are going to be the sales for the next month? What are the expected sales for this product? So now you say you have the data, but you don't have the answer, what is the sell for the next month in the past data, right? So that's something that you have to predict based on the data that you have. And that's why this is called, to answer this question, you would be using tools in predictive analytics. Again, if your manager asks you what is the expected market share, you don't know what's going to be exactly what is going to be the market share for your next month. But based on the past data that you have, you can make a prediction. And that's why it's a predictive analytics techniques that you're going to use to answer this question. Now, the third question is, what product should we market then? Right, so what product should we market to the consumers? Now, based on your expected sales for products, expected market share, and your descriptive analytics in the past, now you're answering the question that what product should we market, right? So this is something that you're prescribing to your manager, right? So you're giving a prescription that this product probably is going to be the most optimal or most profitable to market to the consumer. So this is a prescriptive, to answer this question, you will be using prescriptive analytics tools. Okay. So in this class, we are going to focus on predictive and prescriptive analytics tools and different tools. We are going to see more than one tools for each of this analytics subdivision, right? So just to give you an overview of what kind of tools we will be using. So for descriptive, generally we use Excel, some spreadsheet engineering kind of techniques. We won't do much of that in this class, but from time to time, maybe we'll do some just to help our predictive and prescriptive analytic tools. Right? From predictive analytic tools, we're going to do regression and time series analysis. And that's going to be the first half of our class till spring break. Okay? And then for prescriptive analytic tools, we are going to do optimization. That's going to be another a huge chunk of our class. And then we're gonna do some simulation. And then furthermore, we're also gonna do some decision analysis if time permits. Generally, I don't touch this area, but if we have more time, I'll maybe spend a class or two on decision analysis. So just so that you're prepared, the degree of complexity in terms of how you solve problems, how you think about problems, or the steps that you have to take is generally the degree of complexity kind of goes up as you go from descriptive to predictive to prescriptive. That means that optimization is probably going to be more challenging topic than regression, right? However, as you can see, your competitive, if you know these tools, your competitive advantage in the market is also going to increase. So if you know optimization, you probably have more advantage in the market than if you just know predictive. So, but in this class, we work to both of them, and I think we can pull it off. All right. So in the next few slides, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you examples from each of this area in business analytics. And I encourage you to stop the video and think about what kind of analytic tools you would be using to answer the questions that I'm going to ask. Okay, so I'm going to ask the question or I'm going to explain the scenario, right? And then I'm going to ask you what kind of analytic tools you would be using. So I would encourage you to stop, pause the video at each point and kind of think about what kind of tools you would be using, descriptive, predictive, or prescriptive. And then come back to the video and see what the right answer is. Okay, so this is the thing we generally do in class, and it's kind of fun to do because different people have different versions, and it's fun to hear what you're thinking, but we'll just do this way for this semester, I guess. All right. All right, so this is the first one, right? First, I'm gonna look at example in financial analytics, right? Again, just to catch up or just to remember, just to remind yourselves, descriptive analytic tools you would be using when you're answering questions like what happened, right? So you have the data, and based on the data, you're trying to answer what happened. Whereas predictive analytic tools are going to be useful for answering questions such as what might happen, right? Based on the data, what might happen in the future. And then prescriptive analytic tools are going to be useful for to answer questions such as what should we do, right? Or how should we do it? All right. So the first example that I have for you is, let's say you're working at a financial analytics company, and your job is to forecast future for financial performance for, let's say, a stock, right, or a US bond. What kind of analytics tool would you use? All right. So the right answer is predictive. Why? Because again, you are forecasting the future performance, financial performance of stock market, a stock or a US bond. That means that you are predicting the future, the unknown future, right? So which means that you would be using tools in predictive analytics, such as regression or time series that we will learn later in this class. All right. So next one. Let's say you are working in HR and you want to hire the highest quality talent, right? So for a position, you want to hire the highest quality talent based on all the applications that you have received. So what kind of analytics tool would you be using? So this is a decision that you are making. So you, first of all, there is an uncertainty because you, before hiring, you really don't know how well this person is going to be for your role, right? So there is certain uncertainty, but you are prescribing the best person for this role, right? So which is why this is answering the question that how should you do it or what should you do, right? Who to hire. So this is part of prescriptive analytics. All right. Next up is an example from marketing analytics. Let's say you are working in Facebook or Meta, and you are trying to understand consumer behavior through past data so that you can use that to target certain consumer to push certain advertisements maybe. So what kind of analytics tools would you be using? The answer is descriptive statistics or descriptive analytics, right? Because it is just understanding consumer behavior through past data. So you're just understanding your behavior through past data. There's nothing that you're predicting or prescribing for the future. All right, so next up is an example from healthcare analytics. Let's say you work in a healthcare, you are a healthcare worker and you are trying to diagnosis based on certain health characteristics, right? So a patient has come and told you all the problems that he's having, and you're trying to tell him what problem he has and what's the diagnosis based on their health characteristics that they tell him, right? So what kind of analytics tool would you be using? So the answer to this, once I think about that, also think about what about giving him a treatment, right? So once you do your diagnosis based on the health characteristics and you tell them, okay, this is your issue, also you give them a treatment plan, right? So what kind of analytics would you use to give them a treatment plan that will help them um, with their problems the best way possible, right? All right. So the first one, you could say that's predictive. You could also say that's prescriptive. Both are correct. So predictive because you are looking at probably past data, and then you are looking at the information that this patient is giving you, right? And then based on those two, you're trying to predict what could be the health issue that this patient is having, right? So that way it's a predictive analytics. You could also say it's a prescriptive analytics because you are prescribing the best diagnosis based on the issues that he has. Now, coming on to the treatment plan, that has to be a prescriptive analytics, right? Because you are coming up with the best way to treat the problems that this person has. So it's basically what or how should you do it? It's not only predicting, it's also prescribing, right? All right. So not final, I think I have two more. So the next one up is supply chain analytics. And let's think about a company that we see often in this city, FedEx. And let's think about you work at FedEx as an operation manager and you are trying to schedule vehicle and staff so that your total cost for the company is minimized, right? So you are deciding today how should the vehicle ship or how should the vehicle send the packages from one destination to other destination, and what is the optimal way to do it so that the cost is minimized. Right? Total cost of doing the schedule is minimized. And to answer that question, what kind of analytics tool would you use? So you would use prescriptive analytics, right? Why? Because you're prescribing the most optimal way to do the vehicle scheduling. So it is a prescriptive analytics tools that you would be using to answer this question. All right, next one is an example from sports analytics. If you have bought any kind of sports tickets, you might have noticed that the tickets prices dynamically change throughout the season, right? So sometimes maybe very close to the game, the ticket prices are too high. Maybe farther away, the ticket prices are low. Depending on the weather, the prices change. So there are people, or so right now maybe there are computers, but people have written algorithms for it in the computers. They are continuously dynamically adjusting these prices. So what kind of analytics tools are these people or these computers using to give you these prices? Right? So this is again an example from prescriptive analytics. Why? Because based on sale forecast and past consumer behavior, everything else, you're trying to prescribe the most profitable ticket price, right? So if the ticket price is too high, maybe no one will buy the tickets. If the ticket price is too low, maybe you're not making enough money. So based on everything, they are trying to decide what is the optimal level of ticket prices that's most profitable for the company. And that is why this prescriptive analytics. Finally, there's an example of web analytics. So let's say you're working, again, let's say working in Meta, and you have to understand or give your manager some statistics on how many users have visited Facebook in a day and how much time have they spent on their own homepage. So you would be using what kind of tools to answer this question? All right, so the kind of tools that you would be using to answer these questions is going to be descriptive analytics, right? Because it's again just looking at the past data and understanding how many users have visited or how much time they have spent and everything else, right? So just descriptive tools for this kind of questions because you're not really predicting anything or prescribing anything. You're just summarizing the past data that already exists. All right, so hopefully this did make sense. We can go over this one more time very quickly, maybe in our next class. But that's basically what I wanted to cover about business analytics. And in the next class, hopefully we'll be in person, we will start our first predictive analytic tool, which is regression. And we're gonna get our hands dirty with our first model in Excel. Okay. I hope you have a great evening and please be safe and stay warm. I'll see you next week.